Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Smart HVAC Marketing Podcast. My name is Eric Thomas, and I am the host of the show. And today we are joined by Deb Weiner and Bart James from ACCA. Thank you guys for joining us.
Eric, thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely. So we're going to go one at a time here and do some introductions. Bart, why don't you go ahead and start? Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit more about your role at ACCA.
Absolutely. Eric, thanks again for having Deb and I. Bart James, President and CEO of the Air Conditioning Contractors of America, National Trade Association for America's HVAC contractors. So it's our pleasure to represent contractors around the country on Capitol Hill and states and all the other kind of exciting things that we get to do for our members.
That's awesome. Short and sweet. I like it. Deb, can you go ahead and tell everyone about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Deb Weiner. I am ACCA's Manager of Communications and Strategic Partnerships, and I work with our corporate partners on making sure they're getting in front of our members and also working on making sure that we have fun conversations with people like you, Eric.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys being on the show with me today. This is an episode that I've been honestly striving to have for a while now because I feel like we've been going after contractors and interviewing so many contractors, which is great to get their perspective. But we're always striving to put out content that can further benefit our listeners. And so this is going to be a special episode because we're going to be hearing from both of you about kind of a different side of the industry that we don't typically get to cover on the show. So, Bart, I know you just mentioned that you all are the official trade association for heating and air conditioning. So tell us a little bit more about what that entails and then what you all do on Capitol Hill when you get to represent the trade.
Absolutely. I mean, we're kind of nuts and bolts. So those familiar with the trade association, we're the voice of contractors. Hopefully we're representing our members, but we represent the industry as a whole, but all contractors, and hopefully we're turning them into ACCA members. For your listeners, I think that'll probably resonate with them with most recently with COVID, which is still on all of our minds. But early on, the term essential was something we didn't think of. We all thought our work was essential, but come to find out it wasn't. And that was ACCA's laser focus there for a while to go after and get that recognition so contractors could work and they didn't have to worry about the liabilities associated with being out there and truly being essential. I believe that's probably what we accomplished. We had over 6,000 people join us. So our members and supporters and their teams weigh in on that on Capitol Hill. It was with Congress, but it was also with the administration, which happened to be my neighbor that was running that at the time, the cybersecurity that was making those decisions. But it took us 3 rounds to get through that, and then many of the states followed it. So that's kind of one of our most recent sources of pride. I mean, there's all kinds of great ones. I come from a government relations kind of advocacy background, served as a political appointee in the Bush administration and worked for a member of Congress for a decade. So that's near and dear to me. And it's really at the heart of what many associations do is kind of that behind the scenes work. It doesn't pencil out for an individual to do by themselves. And it takes the support of members and sponsors and all to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Awesome. So what is the primary benefit or the most, important benefit of being a member of ACCA as a contractor?
Deb, you want to hit this? I know you get to talk to people from both sides all the time.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, ACCA sets the standard. It sets the industry standard. So our manuals are the go-to manuals that contractors follow when doing a quality installation. So education is key when it comes to ACCA membership. We offer ongoing classes, educational webinars, technical training, study guides for different types of certification. So that's a great resource. Other additional benefits of membership is, Bart touched on our advocacy efforts. We take our advocacy a step further than other trade associations. It really is something that we are passionate about and making sure that we're representing contractors on Capitol Hill in the best possible way. also, when it comes to ACCA membership and what we're able to offer, we have all these different networking opportunities, and it's not even just through our events. So our fall meetings, as you know, that you are going to be at, we're excited to have you in November 1st through the 4th. We have those live in-person networking events, but we have a very active contractor forum for our members to participate in those very important conversations. And yes, there are HVAC social media groups, but what's really special about the contractor forum, it's a safe place. It's not for everyone to see. It's very engaging and smart conversation, honestly, about what's going on in the industry. And we also have our mixed groups, which is a step above just your traditional networking. It's ACCA members that want to really, really put the time and energy in to network with industry peers and to help their businesses grow. So lots of different stuff that we offer.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you on the social media groups. I feel like there are a lot out there. Everyone's trying to get their piece of the pie on social media and get their little tribe following them. And
Yep.
those can be good. I've seen them used for good, especially on Instagram, where people use them for good to just show you some of the behind the scenes work and some of the stuff they've overcome. But it definitely can get out of hand when people are on there displaying poor workmanship or things that just aren't up to standard. And there's even some where it's almost like a joke page where they're showing bad installations and stuff. And, it's all funny and fun and games to poke at, but at the same time, it is good to have a real place that is like the go-to source, I guess you could say, the source of truth for everything related to the heating and air conditioning industry.
And it's message board style. So it's very easy for an ACCA member to go on the message board and actually to search for a topic or a subject to see if other contractors have asked the same questions and actually follow a thread to see how everyone has weighed in on a certain topic, which is obviously different from social media, because you could have something that's posted today and then tomorrow, you're not necessarily going to find what you need, and it's not easily searchable.
Yeah. So speaking of the fall meetings, I know that you were just talking about that, and I want to plug that for sure, because we will be there, which I'm very excited about. We are going to be at booth number 20, right next to Train. So we're really excited about that. And I just want to know, is there still time for people listening to register?
Oh, absolutely. Little plug here, ACCAfallmeetings.com.
Okay, ACCAfallmeetings.com. And so for those listening who may be thinking about going, because there was a break from the in-person events for a while, and I know people are ready to get back to the fall meeting. So what can they expect from this meeting?
Deb, I'll let you.
Oh my goodness!
Oddly enough, this will be Deb's. Will this be your first?
No, this will be my second. I've actually been with ACCA.
Oh, we were with Dayton. We were there together.
Right. Okay. So I've been with ACCA for 2 years now, and what should be my fourth event is actually my second event.
Oh, wow.
But we have a great lineup of speakers. Our fall meetings is split into 2 different tracks. The first track is our Office and Operations Manager Forum. And so that's November 1st through the 2nd. And then the second track is our Service Managers Forum. And that's November 2nd through the 3rd. So, obviously we have crossover programming, but we really offer something for everyone. A lot of times people think of an HVAC trade association and we're catering to the business owner, we're catering to technicians and installers. But really, we have things that everyone that works at an HVAC company can benefit from. And that also is their office staff, their sales people, So our sessions are definitely geared towards different audiences. So first half office, second half service managers. Strongly suggest checking out accafallmeetings.com for the full lineup.
Awesome. That's accafallmeetings.com, and it's right there in the comments if you're listening. And then if you're listening to this later on in Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen to your podcasts, we will put that link in the show notes. Bart,
Eric,
I believe you're about to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to piggyback on what Deb was hitting on there. But one thing, and I should have mentioned, and when we talked about kind of ACCA and our history, but as you know, many of us know ACCA or ACCA from our residential side of the industry. But what it's probably more of a secret than it should be, but over 40% of our members are commercial contractors. My father-in-law is one of those. Our current senior vice chairman's one of them. They range in size from smaller operations to ones with over 1,000 employees. So our meetings have a great mix of that. So if you're looking to make those connections, Deb mentioned our mixed group program. It's a great place to do that and have the networking and start making those early connections to become a part of a mixed group. But I just wanted to mention that for people listening is, again, we're doing the residential, the commercial, the refrigeration side of all of this. So there's a great place for someone to find those connections.
Yeah. It makes sense for commercial people to also, to be in an association like this, especially because a lot of commercial jobs are government buildings, or any some type of work you got to put like an RFP out for, or you got to bid on. And it's probably best for them to be able to know all the codes and all the regulations and laws and stuff that go around all that. So is that kind of what they can benefit from if they're joined as a commercial contractor?
Well, that's one aspect of it. I mean, I think the full gamut. On the commercial side, we've had some home runs. We talked about essential for the industry, but we worked on immediate expensing of commercial HVAC equipment on Capitol Hill, and for many commercial contractors, they've seen some of the best quarters and then year that they've ever seen, despite COVID. That was something. So the last tax update we had, but again, that took us 15 years of work behind the scenes to do that. That was from the time the first piece of legislation was introduced. So it's a long process to do that, but those have huge impacts on the industry, from the manufacturers to the distributors to the contractors and even the consumers. So we work closely with CPAs and accounting firms to make sure people are aware of that and are leveraging it. And from all indications, it's worked really, really well.
Yeah.
So, you went from 39 and a half years for your expensing to immediate. We were hoping for, going into it, a 15, a more realistic time frame for kind of the life cycle of the equipment. But I guess after a lot of work, people decided that immediate was the way to go to kind of spur that economic input.
Yeah. So going back to something you'd said kind of about like the future of the industry, I'd love to touch on just some of the things that you all are seeing in the industry right now, and then maybe just get your perspective on it, because it seems like a lot of our guests recently we've been talking about the labor shortage, we've been talking about equipment shortages, we've been talking about inflation. So what are some of the things that you all are seeing, either in your organization or on Capitol Hill, in regards to some of those topics?
I mean, you led with the right one. I mean, everyone's dealing with the workforce challenges, the shortages. I just got off the phone with our board chairman, and he's down 6 service techs. And, so that's, you add that to the supply shortages that they have, and, not being able to get coils and thermostats and, they have whole lines of equipment that they can't get at all. But the workforce, and more importantly, the skilled workforce, having people, we have schools that aren't producing the quality. We did a survey of our members looking at that a few years back. Is actually almost 5 years now. So we'll be redoing that again, but we haven't changed that. The schools aren't producing the quality students. They're not producing the volume. And then you add the complexities of COVID and what that's done of kind of getting people back into the fold. Despite, them being able to work throughout it, those challenges have only been exacerbated, where we don't have the people. And then you look at kind of the aging workforce that this industry has. as well. It's truly a perfect storm, and sadly, it's leaving the consumer not getting what they're paying for. They're not getting the quality equipment. They're not getting the quality installation they should be because of the challenges. And you add consumer behavior of 90% of installations, not happening to the point of breakdown. And it's something that we don't have the answers for, but we got a lot of tools to help with it. And we actually were recognized internationally. Deb, you want to hit on that? I mean, our toolbox, as we say, to help people and get in front of schools and start earlier. We can't look at high schools. We've got to get, ahead of it before then.
Yeah, absolutely. So ACCA has a very robust workforce section of the ACCA website. So we have tools and resources for contractors to download and actually use as recruitment tools and start the conversations early. Get out in your community, talk to the local high schools, even honestly talk to the junior high kids. Let people know that this is a profession that should be considered. A lot of times people just don't have it on their radar. And we have won an award. The Power of A Award. Sorry, it's the Power of A Award, and it's through the Association of Associations. And we won an award talking about our workforce development and initiative campaigns that we do. So we do have resources available. Strongly encourage, again, go to the ACCA website. Some of the resources are available to non-members. A lot of them are available just for members. And we're also working with a lot of our corporate partners to promote even their workforce programs. Carrier, they have a wonderful program called Tech Up, and it's to help inform people about the different job opportunities. And they have a lot of great resources, as well as a lot of our other partners.
Yeah, that's awesome that you all have tools available readily for primarily for members, but also for non-members as well. So what, I guess, I know you said, Bart, that you all don't have the answers, obviously, to this. But what are just some things that, without, giving away the secrets of the proprietary stuff that members get, what are some things that contractors can do to help find, better technicians?
Oh gosh, I mean, it's kind of endless. I mean, I think your community is where you start, being the trusted place for people to go, not just for service, but a place that people want to have their children work and know that whether they're interning and that leads to a job, and then just continually being that drumbeat out there that this is an industry to be proud of and be part of. That's, that you can make a great living at, that you can turn into a business owner. I think it's that pride that we have, but it needs to be stronger, and it needs to be something we consistently do all the time.
So our manager of HVAC education, Matt Akins, he said something to me that has just always stuck with me, where he said that you could recruit a great technician anywhere. Where if you are out and about, you're at a store, you're at a restaurant, and you come across someone who is offering wonderful customer service and they're just on the ball about things, that use that as an opportunity to start a dialogue about, hey, have you considered a career in HVAC? And a lot of times they haven't, but you could just go about your daily life and come across someone and say, have you thought about looking into this as a career?
Mm-hmm. Have you heard of contractors doing that and it being successful?
Actually, yeah.
And
nice.
there's some contractors out there I can, think of ones that we get exposed to, and you hear their story that they have a relationship with the schools and the teachers and parents, and they truly are. I mean, they're a rolling billboard with their, with their vehicles and the relationships they have every home they're in. But there's some of them that really do a great job and see that as part of their future and the success of the business, and as well as the entire industry.
Mm-hmm.
And Oh,
I
sorry.
was just going to say they make the time. I know people are busy, but we have, we are blessed for this industry usually having some slow seasons or portions of the year, and they leverage that. Much like getting, kind of control of your warehouse and some of the space and inventory, they view this as an important part of what they need to do to look after the future.
And we have seen contractors who, they offer their own apprenticeship programs because they want to make sure that the education and training is done right. There's been incentive programs where, like, honestly, they pay people to go through their program, and there's like a guaranteed job at the end of the program. So they make it very accessible, and they present it in a way where, like, why wouldn't you do this?
Yeah. Well, so Deb, outside of some of the educational stuff that members can receive, what are some other benefits of becoming, either a member or a corporate partner of ACCA?
So outside of the benefits, I mean, really, the events are a wonderful tool. Obviously, we did not meet for quite some time because of COVID for in-person events. But, we adapted. We did virtual events. We actually did a virtual manufacturer leadership forum where we had a residential one and then we had a commercial one. We had a great turnout for both of them. And really, our events, it's an opportunity to network. It's an opportunity to continue to learn. And it's an opportunity even to just meet your ACCA people in person. We're always happy to help.
And some of those things, the call that I had earlier, Brian Stack is our board chairman's name, out of Avon, Ohio. But talking with Brian earlier, he was telling me that he attended our Codes and Coffee. It's a new concept we have. We're very involved, as you hit on, Eric, in the code space. It aligns with the technical part. You have to have the two match up. And David Bigsby leads the charge for us on that and does a wonderful job. But David and several other members of our team were hosting the Codes and Coffee today, and Eric's going to use that for all of his tech team to go back for them to listen. So the timing wasn't great, but we record those and it'll be available for them to go back. But it's, we do so many of those things and sometimes we forget about it. I mean, our interest in doing Codes and Coffee was more just to make sure our members understood the code process and kind of demystifying and also helping them understand that they could really be an important part of it. And they have to be vigilant there on the state side of it as well, where there's that implementation side is very different than where it is at the ACCA level. But anyway, it's neat to hear that and kind of be reminded of things that we forget, that the discussions there, those got into the transition to flammable refrigerants and the changes in cylinders and all. But it's to help techs get ahead of that, and then you see some of the today or yesterday was a big fine that came out from Albertsons, the grocery store chain, just in California, but where they weren't handling their refrigerants properly and weren't doing things. But I think it was a $5 million fine. Wow. So it's, there's things happening where people need to pay attention and learn from others of what's kind of coming your way, whether it's coming from California around or if it's coming from our neighbors to the north in Canada. Just changes that are happening in this industry we need to be ready for.
And ACCA, I think, really does a great job. And I'm not just saying this because I work for ACCA, but I think ACCA does a really great job of keeping our members informed. Sometimes we might send out too many emails in a week, but we just want to make sure that our members are aware of what's going on in the industry. We're on top of the cutting edge news, and we just want to make sure that everyone is fully aware of what's going on.
Yeah. Doesn't ACCA also have a podcast or something like that as well?
It's to come. Stay tuned. So
Deb's baby.
It is my baby. So we have not launched it yet, but it is coming. So stay tuned.
Well, if you need a guest for the podcast, I would love to be a guest on your podcast.
Consider it done.
Yeah. All right. Everyone, look forward to hearing my voice not only on this podcast, but also on the ACCA podcast.
You know how to do the ask, like, and put me on the spot for everyone to hear and hold me accountable. You're good.
Well, you had told me you were going to put me on the spot, and I figured I'd beat you to it. So there was my window of opportunity.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So will that podcast be readily available for anyone, anywhere, or just for members?
So it will be available anywhere and for members. So we're going to do all of the regular channels and Spotify, Apple, basically everywhere where you can listen to the Rival Digital podcast will be on the same platforms.
Awesome. Well, that's awesome. And I will say that setting up all those streams that's such a grueling process. Mm-hmm. It's pretty bad. It's my least favorite part of starting a podcast. But yeah, that's awesome.
So non-ACCA related, but related to podcast. So my first career was in radio, and I am a tech geek at the core of when it comes to like all things recording and editing. So I look forward to setting everything up.
Yeah. It's probably easier than radio.
My fancy headphones that I have, I don't know if they're fancy, but Deb said they were a must-have, and I, had to have this brand. And when she sees someone else with a certain type, she always notes it. And,
that's hilarious.
So, that's funny.
You dorked out recently on a microphone that somebody had.
Oh, I think I did. Well, yeah.
Sorry.
No, absolutely. So yes, I this is fine. This does the job, but
it was what Ed had, our new tech.
Oh, that's right. Oh, so I'm a big Shure product fan. So like I have an SM57, which is like a solid mic. It's my go-to. And I really appreciated his setup where he had like the clamp, he had the perfect, position of the mic. So yes, I do notice stuff like that, and I fully appreciate it. Like even right now, I could tell you have a great setup, Eric.
I was just about to say, I hope that my setup passes your test, or it's up to par.
It is. You have the screen that helps with the pops.
The pop filter. Yeah.
Yep. So I fully appreciate it.
Awesome.
Well, as I said, maybe a little dork there. a little dorking out on the mic front. Yes.
This is probably my fourth microphone. It took me forever to find out the one that like was really good.
Mics make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge.
You can even hear it if you go back to like my first episode on this podcast. It was like super fuzzy. It was I got like a cheap like $40 condenser mic off of Amazon, and it did the trick. And then I like upgraded to like $100 like Audio Technica one. And then I actually won this in a contest on Twitter. This is a $280 The Rode Podcaster. I won this one. Right. Yeah, I won this on a giveaway. It was like my first time ever winning anything in my life. And it was fitting because it really helped with the podcast.
So Rode mics are fantastic. That's actually what we use for any of our video work that we do in-house. So nice. You have my approval.
Awesome. Well, I feel like I should ask a few more questions just for the contractors who are listening here.
Yes.
And this is typically kind of one of our closing thoughts. And so we'll start with Bart. So Bart, if there was a contractor out there who it's his first or second year in business, and he's just trying to figure out what the heck he's going to do with his business, what's some advice that you would give him to steer him in the right direction towards success?
Don't have as many failures, learn from others. There's so many great stories. I mean, we've got a former board member that I think has done a great job of building his business and has built a great reputation. Ken Goodrich of Gettle out of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
But Ken tells a story that he was down to his last few dollars and came to an ACCA conference, and he speaks highly of the conference, but he also talks about who he met there and how that helped him kind of regroup and reevaluate and frankly not give up on getting out of the HVAC business that his dad had started and he was failing. anyway, those stories, there's a lot of them out there, but I think so many people don't understand what success looks like, and they work really hard, and they can change that by understanding and having a peer group. I mean, I think our mixed groups, we don't do enough to talk about those and kind of the circle of trust that comes from having, people that you can share numbers and know if you're really being profitable and how you're moving the needle for your business in the future.
Yeah. Deb, what's some advice you'd give a contractor?
I would say when you're meeting with customers and potential customers, go through the checklist of making sure that the customer fully understands everything you did to look at whatever the problem is, whatever the system is, and provide very clear information that a homeowner can understand. Because at the end of the day, word of mouth referrals is always going to get you a lot farther than, and I'm saying this, and I'm sorry, I know that you're a digital marketing company, I get it, but when people are looking for service, they're going to ask a friend, like, hey, do you know anyone who did this, who did that? So making sure that you follow that checklist, that you're really living up to the standards. And again, I have to bring this back to ACCA membership. We really do have wonderful resources and downloads to make sure that you have access to that checklist, so everything is being followed. Don't cut corners. Doing a load calculation, following manual J, following manual S, it matters.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, I take no offense to the word of mouth thing, because I agree that word of mouth is the most powerful, because like they say, birds of the same feather flock together. And I will say, to piggyback off that, is that if you get a word of mouth referral, that person's going to go look for you on Google. So you're going to want to make sure that you are showing up and making sure that your website actually loads for them. So if that is you and your website sucks and your Google search presence sucks, well, I'm here to help. You can learn more about our services on rivaldigital.com, or you can email me directly at eric@rivaldigital.com. Deb, Bart, this was awesome.
Eric, I have a question.
Oh, go for it.
Okay, so how many seconds should it take for your website to load?
Well, I know that some people here will say at least no more than 3 seconds, but I like to get websites to load at least about a second and a half at the most. And this can be achieved easier than most people think, through the use of just getting a good hosting platform, and then utilize a content delivery network or a CDN. So if you're a contractor out there and your website's slow and it's taken 5 to 10 seconds to load, I would say that maybe you need to possibly rethink what you can do to make it faster, because that definitely is. There was an algorithm update that went out for Google in June. It was supposed to be in May, but it got pushed back to June, and then another update came out in July that pretty much reinforced that the core web vitals of your website, which includes load time, page experience, all that stuff, is now a ranking factor on Google. So it's just more important than ever that your website actually loads quick and is ready for people to use.
And isn't it going to start affecting things like towards the end of August in terms of ranking if you don't make these updates?
Yeah, I mean, there's speculation all over the internet. I mean, the thing is, like, everyone tries to predict what they think it'll do, but Google kind of, that's the magic of Google, is they give you indirect hints at what might happen or what might not happen, but will tell you that you should do this, but it might or might not help. So you have to just kind of try to put the puzzle together. My advice for anybody is that if Google suggests that it might happen, just go ahead and do it. Because they're never going to tell you directly, hey, you should do this. Right. But it doesn't hurt to go ahead and just be proactive. So to answer your question, I'm not sure if it'll have a huge effect. But there's puzzles to the whole thing, or pieces to the whole puzzle, and you want to just make sure that you try to get all of them done. So
for sure.
Yeah. Well, guys, this has been awesome. I don't want to keep taking up any more of your time because I know it's almost 5 o'clock and we're ready to get rolling with our afternoon. So, Deb, Bart, I thank you guys so much for joining me this afternoon. And real quick before we go, what's a good way for our listeners to get in touch with you all if they want to learn more about ACCA?
Sure. I mean, they can always check us out on our website at acca.org, and they can give us a ring if they have questions or want to join. They can join obviously online, but our phone number is 703-575-4477. That's our main line there in Alexandria, Virginia. So just across the river from the U.S. Capitol.
Awesome.
And if people are interested in membership and you want to reach someone very quickly, email membership@acca.org.
Awesome. Membership@acca.org. We will leave that link in the show notes as well as acca.org in the show notes because I know people love to just being able to click on it and go straight there. So we'll put those links in the show notes. If you're listening, go ahead and just scroll down and you'll find them there. As always, thank you all for listening and thank you all for joining us as our guests today. I hope that you all have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, Harry.
Thanks.
Looking forward to seeing you in November in New Orleans.
Absolutely. I can't wait. Yeah, we're already planning out the booth and everything that we're going to get put together for it.
That's fun.
I can't wait to see your swag.
Yeah, we're working on it. We so our business was formed in the middle of the pandemic. We'll keep this live because I know this is going to be a good conversation. So our business was formed right in the middle of the pandemic in September of 2020. So we had never thought about like this type of event until now because this wasn't a thing when we first started. When we first started, it was like webinars, and that's all we were doing. And so now we're like going to this event and it's like, crap, we got to get like a table cover and some like signs and some koozies, and we got to give away something cooler than the next person. And we got to do all these things. So now we're like actually forced to look into it. So yeah, I'm excited too. I'm hoping if some of our partners out there are listening to this podcast that we are going to be doing some possible joint giveaways or things. So that might be interesting. We'll find out. We're waiting to get some more details on that. So, you'll only be able to find out if you attend the ACCA Fall meeting from November 1st to the 4th in New Orleans.
Well, for all the football fans, it could be kind of interesting to see how that shakes out with the game that Sunday. Yeah. Depending when you arrive, it could be an interesting time to be in New Orleans.
I never thought about. I didn't even think about that. I'm actually getting there. I'm getting there Sunday morning, like around 10.
That's the day of the game.
Well, it's scheduled for the afternoon, but it may get pushed because it's Tom Brady, so it may get pushed to an evening game. Yeah, that'll probably be like a 7 or 8 o'clock game. It would right now. I think Kimia from our team at leads our event said it's showing at 4 or 4:30, but it seems like it would make sense for that one to get pushed for the.
And they're playing Tampa Bay. Am I making? Yeah, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Tampa Bay. I didn't even realize that. I hadn't even thought to look at the football schedule to see if there'd be a game. Now I'm going to go look for tickets. I doubt I'll find any though.
Saint fans they're intense, so it's
pretty. Also, let's think about this. That weekend, football,
Halloween,
and
ACCA Fall meetings in New Orleans.
Yeah, it's like the trifecta. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, and I feel like Halloween in New Orleans will be a different experience.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Wow. I can't imagine what the costumes will be.
I can't imagine either. But there's only one way to find out, and that is if you go to New Orleans with us. So awesome.
I already said that I think that everyone from ACCA should be dressed as a Ghostbuster. And instead of the Ghostbuster logo, it's the ACCA logo.
Oh,
yeah, that'd be cool. That should be like there should be like a Halloween themed day
party.
I agree.
Networking event. Maybe we'll just give out candy at our booth. We'll just skip the swag and just give out candy. We'll give the people what they want. Candy and Mardi Gras beads.
Just make sure.
Beer. Don't forget the beers too.
Yeah, give out some beer.
So beer for Bart, bazooka, Halloween candy gum for me.
Really? Right. That's your go-to.
I don't.
That's going to give you TMJ.
I know it's so bad. I do from it.
Like it loses all of its flavor within like 30 seconds.
I know, which is why I buy it in bulk. I chew until my jaw hurts, but that's beside the point. I digress.
Yeah, I feel like that stuff it's like a face workout.
It is.
Maybe I need to try it. That could help with the chins.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, guys, I'm
Thank you,
going to
Eric.
go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you all so much for joining me.
Pleasure.
Look forward to talking to you guys soon, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank y'all.